All right on time at 3 p.m. Central European Time. Welcome everybody to today's pitch session with MirDetect. I'm Ronald. I'm the head of investments at SeedBlink, and I have the honor and pleasure to have Nina and Jan with me from the company that we're going to talk about in a minute. Short housekeeping, this call is recorded. All the registered participants, even the ones who cannot make it to the call, will receive the recording as well as the follow-up information. Agenda-wise, we will do a short intro, as I'm already doing, and then we hand over to the main person of this call, which is Nina, who will give us a short pitch of MirDetect, and then we will enter into Q&A, so all investors can use the Q&A function and ask the questions that they may have. The whole call will probably be half an hour to 45 minutes. We can extend to 1 hour, but historically, we are likely done within 45 minutes. Having said that, short intro from my end. MirDetect is a German biotech company, and it deals with CE-approved molecular diagnostic tests for testicular cancer. And why is this a topic? It is a topic because testicular cancer is a cancer that affects fairly young people, men obviously, between the ages of 20 and 45, and there's roughly 70,000 diagnoses per year. Good news is the cure rates are quite decent, quite good. But up to half of the patients experience some relapse and require follow-ups over years through CT scans, different procedures that involve radiation, contrast agents, and so on and so forth. So it's an annoying procedure, and MirDetect solves this issue by offering an alternative based on microRNA. And without going into technicalities, let's hear it from the founder and CEO herself. And I would like to hand over to Nina.
Thank you. I will share my screen for you. A moment. Oh,
Yep.
so yes, we have it.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you very much for the introduction. My name is Nina. I am the co-founder and CEO of the company. I'm a biologist, and I will walk you through the presentation, presenting our company and our first product, the test for testicular cancer. As Ronald already said before, testicular cancer has a very high medical need. We have the young men that are mostly affected, and the 7,000 men are diagnosed every year worldwide. And we have the relapse rate from for up to 50%. And this is why we have a very long follow-up time for the patients. It is up to 10 years. And the problem today is that we have very insufficient diagnostic solutions and overtreatment. There are serum tumor markers available. They are called AFP, beta-HCT, and LDH, but they have a very low sensitivity and specificity. That means they are elevated in many other diseases. Therefore, you have a lot of CT scans for diagnosis, and these lead to radiation and these lead to secondary malignancies for the patients. And the next problem is that you cannot detect small tumor masses in the imaging. And all this leads to insecurity for the patient and for the physician and for overtreatment in these particular cases. Our solution is the M371 test. We measure one tumor-specific microRNA with this test. It's a minimally invasive blood test with a CE certificate according to IVDR. It's a qPCR test that is compatible with various systems. And today, no competing molecular diagnostic is on the market right now. Our test can boost the level of evidence throughout the whole treatment cycle of the patient. For the primary diagnosis, we have the clarity for the suspected cases in the first place, There we can have fewer surgeries and faster diagnosis, and therefore quicker treatment decisions after surgery. We have the therapy monitoring, where we can reduce the overtreatment by optimized chemotherapy planning and personalized treatment. And then we have the long-term follow-up monitoring, where the test reliably detects reoccurrences. And with that, you can reduce radiation exposure and have security for patients and physicians. On this slide, I will show you how the classical or how the microRNA marker outperforms the classical molecular markers. Here you see the clinical performance of the classical markers, the sensitivity and the specificity. Here you see a range because we have two settings. First, the primary diagnosis and also the follow-up monitoring. And for the M371 test, we have for the primary diagnosis 94%, and in the long-term follow-up, even 100% sensitivity and the specificity of 96%. Another very important thing for this marker is the half-life. For the classical markers, this goes up to 7 days, and for the M371 test, we only have 4 hours. This leads to fast measurement of the success of the treatment, for example, of the surgery. If the tumor is removed, then you have a very fast success. On this slide, you see the relevant market size, which is more than 100 million worldwide. We have, for example, in Europe, 25,000 cases per year. And to show you the whole potential of the test, we have to look at this testing scheme of a stage 1 seminoma patient. For the primary care, pre and post surgery, we have 2 measurements. And in the follow-up period, we have 19 measurements, and this amounts to 21 in total. So if we apply this to the cases, we have, for example, here again in Europe, about 500,000 tests per year. Now focusing on the European market, these are the major markets you see here. And by addressing these markets, we can cover 70% of all European testicular cancer patients. And we are doing this with our current distribution network and partners. For UK and Nordics, we are working together with EDX Medical. In Switzerland, we have an exclusive agreement with the Labor team. In Croatia, we're working with Scobea Plus, and for the rest of Europe, we have a distribution agreement with Gold Standard Diagnostic, part of Eurofins Group. This slide, you see the revenue forecast. This year, we will have about 250,000 euro. Next year, 570,000 euro. And in 2027, it will rise to 1.7 million euro. The test price, or the list price for the test is 320 euro, but we have used mixed calculation for this revenue forecast for different markets and different settings. And how can we promote this growth? In the beginning of 2027, we will gain the reimbursement in Germany. And we are aiming for the guideline recommendations in the next years and in 2027. The test is already mentioned in the guidelines, in the German guidelines, the European guidelines, and the US guidelines. But in this years, we are going for the inclusion. And there's a study ongoing where we can enhance the usability with plasma samples. This will be completed in 2026. And if this is completed, we have the possibility, or the physicians will have the possibility to have a much easier logistics for the sample transport to the laboratories. And next year, we also will have the US market entry via the LDT route. Our M371 test is just a proof of concept for the PantaQ technology because it provides the validation in the clinical setting. It's a platform technology that allows us, yes, to have a portfolio of several PantaQ IVDs. And yes, what is the PantaQ technology? It's a diagnostic qPCR workflow for the detection of nucleic acid biomarkers. The multiplexing is possible in the real-time PCR, and it's a modular technology. And why should you use this technology? It's for the low abundance detection of nucleic acids. It's at the lower detection limit, and we have here a massive increase in sensitivity. Here you see it's plus 27 plus 72%, and without losing the robustness, here we can achieve 88%. And it's easy to transfer to other nucleic acid markers, and it's streamlined for quick development cycles. We also have a broad and robust IP coverage. We can use any material, body fluids like saliva and of course blood and tissue and cells. And for it can be used for any nucleic acid. It's available for mRNA, DNA, and of course microRNA. And the IP is granted in the major markets like Europe, USA, and China, and over 60 more countries. Here I will show you that there's more beneath the surface of the M371 test for testicular cancer. We can apply this test for other applications like screening of risk groups, for example. Then we we will go for other urological tumors, prostate, bladder, and renal cancer. And here the development already started in our laboratory. The expansion into other fields is, of course, possible. And in parallel, we are looking for the outland licensing of this PantaQ technology for interested parties. So in summary, we have the three pillars of our business model. We have the PantaQ technology with licensing for assay enhancement and for development or co-development with interested partners. Of course, we have our commercialized lead product that is a IVDR certified product already generating revenue. And we have the portfolio potential with our own development pipeline. Yes, and who is doing this? This is our team. We have a very experienced management board and a scientific advisory board that has a very broad KOL network supporting us. And thank you for your attention, and I'm happy to answer all of your questions.
All right, brilliant. Thanks, Nina. As I said before, investors can use the Q&A function to ask their questions. And up to this point, when we see the first questions, I'm going to start with a few. And I kindly ask you to go back one slide, Nina, because I think it's important. So we came in touch with MirDetect already a while ago. And funnily enough, it was via the CFO that you can see here, Michael Kring, who is an active investor in Germany as well. And what is worth mentioning is that he used to be the CFO of BioNTech, so the COVID vaccine developer based in Germany as well. So quite an experienced profile here, together with the others, obviously. And I just think it's worth noting because it seems to be always a bit under the rug, but I think it's a strong argument. Um, we have seen your traction, Nina, the revenues that you make with your flagship product on testicular cancers and what you plan to do, which is brilliant because we don't have a lot of life science companies in our portfolios that are actually generating revenues. Most of them are still developing something. So that is impressive. But tell us a bit more like your personal story, the Gara story, the history. Where does Meditech come from? How did you start the company? Why did you start the company? And also tell us what your vision is. So what's your next step? Why do you want to take the company for the years to come?
Yes, it all started at the university in Bremen. It was the Center for Human Genetics, and in 2013 we started as a project, as a governmental project, the Exist Forschungstransfer, it's called. And after 2 years, we founded the company Meditect there. And it all started at the university because Professor Klaus-Peter Diekmann, who's here in the on the slide as well, he's a renowned urologist from Hamburg, and he came to us, to our research group, and was asking for a better marker or something like that for testicular cancer, because the medical need was already there. And we were working on this topic because of the need that was already very, very pressuring in the community of the urologists. And yes, then we were very happy that we found this one marker. That's not the case in many RNA markers, because normally you have a panel of markers. So it was like win in the lottery for us that we have this one marker. And yes, so the funding went on with the several investors, and then we could start and move to Bremerhaven, just a bit away. You see the building on the slide as well. And there we, in 2019, we could, expand or just build our production and started certification of the test. Yes, and yes, now we want to go on. We have Jan Diesend. He's also here in the pitch. He's our CTO. He's for research and development, and with him we are we want to make the PantaQ technology broader and have more products in our portfolio in the future. So.
All right. And maybe for the investors that are not as tech savvy or into molecular biology as you are, and me to a certain extent, explain to us the typical use case. So there is a patient coming to the clinic, and the physician is obviously checking and doing a couple of things and tests and analysis. Where does your test come in? How is it performed? Do you get what you need out from plasma, out from blood? How long does it take to get the result? So what is a user journey for a patient usually look like?
Yes.
So maybe I can jump in here,
Yes.
briefly explaining it. So in principle, the test comes in already during the suspected case of testicular cancer, where a urologist can already draw blood. So our test is a liquid biopsy assay and works with a standard blood draw, and that is sent into the lab where it's analyzed. So the analysis, depending on the turnaround time of the lab, can take between 24 hours or 7 days, depending on how they perform the analysis. So it's quite quick. And for it can be used for primary diagnosis, as I already said, but also in a follow-up setting, whereas the major market, as you saw in the presentation, it can be used to easily monitor testicular cancer patients, because most of the time with the current guidelines, CT scans are required in the beginning for the follow-up surveillance, and with the test itself, these CT scans could potentially omit it in the future. So the patients themselves wouldn't be exposed to the diagnostic irradiation, getting a CT appointment, which can take some time, of course. And with that, they can just go to the physician, get a blood draw, and get a quick response if there's a recurrence occurring or not.
Got it. And how does this compare, for instance, to the other tests that are in the market? We have seen the specificity and sensitivities of, say, the traditional tests compared to the one of MirDetect. Obviously, you stand out on all those efficiency KPIs. But how does it look like when you compare it from a point of how easy it is to handle tests? How efficient are they at the end of the day? I mean, you already said, Jan, it takes 24 hours to 7 days, depending on the lab. So that lab is the bottleneck. Fair enough.
Yes.
How does it look from a price perspective? And is there any other factors that make MirDetect stand out vis-a-vis competition? Because it seems to me, but correct me if I'm wrong, it seems to me it's the logical thing to do for a urologist anyways, or is there any other facets I might not have seen?
So first of all, the price point itself is not really comparable, because these old assays are based on immunodetection. These are usually quite cheap tests. I think for these, they can vary between 20 to 50 euros per test. However, we talk about a sensitivity of 50% approximately. So that's a coin toss. It's not sure. You get no security in that, and you see all these consequences happening, surgeries occurring that did not have to occur, or recurrences detected too late that all also lead to costs for the healthcare system. Our test is a bit more expensive. Yes, I mean, the list price is 320 euros per reaction, but we offer a large benefit to the healthcare system, even though it cannot be quantified by direct cost comparison here. And of course, it's always a challenge to push IVDs or new molecular diagnostic tests into the market, but we can quite confidently say that many urologists know the marker, they want to use it, but of course it takes some time to build up the infrastructure, to acquire the labs participating in it. So, but we are on the verge, you see it with the reimbursement, hopefully starting in 2027, that this can go into broad adoption into the clinical space and the outpatient settings.
Got it. And back to my previous point with respect to what's your vision for the company going forward? Where do you want to take this company? We already heard there's the proof of concept was the testicular cancer, but technically speaking, you can apply to various cancers and obviously open way bigger markets than just this niche market of testicular cancer. Where do you see the vision? Where do you see the company a couple of years down the road? Or would you even consider selling the company at a certain point in time, given there's quite a bunch of prominent investors sitting on your cap table, high-tech Gründerfonds being one of those, and obviously as a VC case, you have to think about an exit as well at a certain point.
Nina,
Yes.
do you want to take that one?
Yes, the technical thing is with Jan, so I can answer the question for the vision. Yes, we have many options, I think. So we have the option to develop the tests by our own, or on our own, and to have the co-development together, maybe with the big partner. That would be, I think, the best option for all of us, because we do not have to invent every infrastructure on our own, but we start with the development, of course. That's what's possible in our lab. And yeah, that's what Jan is already doing with his working group. And so we will see how this can attract a bigger company, or if we can attract a bigger company that maybe has already a test in its portfolio that is not that good and that can, yeah, where we can enhance the performance of the test of the existing test. This would be also a very good opportunity. So we, yeah, just looking out, having contacts, asking for projects, and yeah, we have a lot of contacts, but we also need the money to conduct the studies.
Yes.
Got it.
And maybe just to go a bit into detail on the future tests. I mean, right now, as you saw in the presentation, we are focusing on urological tumors, not by accident, but because we have a strong key opinion leader network already in the urology space. And these are tumors, especially prostate cancer, is a huge market. And even if we can capture be a good deal, let's say it that way. So if we are able to develop tests in these markets, we can unlock way more revenue down the road. And regarding these projects, as Nina already mentioned, we started those. I mean, with nucleic acid markers, you usually go for next generation sequencing, which we are already performing. And we are quite optimistic that next year we can hopefully have a candidate to start these, bringing these IVDs to life. Because with the PantaQ technology, we have, as Nina also mentioned in the presentation, a modular technology that can be easily transferred to any other nucleic acid marker that is found for these indications.
What what surprised me positively when we first came in contact is that although you seem to be doing, or you are doing a lot of stuff, and you have quite a clear plan ahead and attack different markets in terms of urology cancer, you're doing this with quite a lean setup. I mean, it's not a huge company. It's not a lot of people. It seems to be quite an efficient setup. How many people are you currently? Just for the investors to understand.
It's 11 employees.
Yeah, it's super lean setup and generating six-figure revenues and obviously increasing. So that's interesting. Now, we talked about the vision of the company and what's hopefully going to happen the next couple of months and years. Where do you see the flip side of it? Where do you see the biggest risks to the company?
Yes, the risks are the delay of reimbursement, I think. So maybe this can apply to all countries, and I think that's the major problem. I don't think many obstacles in the need, because urologists want these markers, they know these markers, but they need the reimbursement for the test, because it is applied for patients who are willing to pay by themselves, or some settings are paid by the insurance. But the whole broad reimbursement, that is the main issue, and that is also why yeah, you can see on the slide with revenue why it is going up. So now it's just the base revenue that we can achieve without reimbursement. But this calculation was all was for the reimbursement in Germany, and we are heading for reimbursement in all the other countries. In France, there is a study ongoing to get into the reimbursement, but this takes about 1 or 2 years to have the real life data to collect the samples, and then go to the reimbursement strategy. So that takes time. This isn't what we have to endure to get this time. But if we can have this, we are in these settings, and nobody else is there competing with our test. So yes, that's a important and fragile thing.
Yeah, fully understood. And as you said on one of your slides, I mean, Germany is the obvious first market, is the home market, and then obviously you tackle it from there. I would suspect if the German system approves the reimbursement, that this is at least a brownie point or a soft sign for other countries to follow suit. Although I know in the EU everybody does their own thing, but it is what it is. But once you're in there, then you're basically locked in revenue wise. And as I said, with a team of 11 people, it's a super lean setup, so that you can bring the company into profitable territory. Maybe the last question from my end. We touched upon it a bit beforehand. You can build a profitable company with this setup, and you can probably build a sizable company if you wanted to, and things work out. But what about a potential exit? What would be a realistic exit channel for you guys down the road? Or have you even had first discussions with potential partners that said it's interesting what you guys are doing, let's talk M&A?
Yes, we are talking with several companies in this process. Yes, and I think maybe what I said before, it can also must not be a full exit, for example. It can also be yeah, a co-development, something like this, or partly. But we are open for all the opportunities, of course, because yes, we want to bring this test into the market, and if it is done by a bigger player, it is also a good setting for us.
Yeah. Which would not be an unusual thing in the life sciences industry, that the big players buy themselves in slowly and then get you some royalties, and once you've proven your worth and you're interesting enough, you get swallowed. I mean, that's not an unusual thing. All right. Bit more than half an hour. I ask a lot of questions that I haven't asked before, so that's great. I would like to point to conclude this session by saying, okay, the Meritech deal is still live on our platform, and it will stay there until the 14th of December. So that's a bit more than a week to go, because the rationale being that the deal should be closed prior to Christmas, and the SeedBlink ticket is obviously a small ticket, part of the bigger funding round. Which is mainly driven also by the existing investors already in the cap table. You can find their names on our platform, on our deal platform. High-Tech Gründerfonds is one of them, but there's a couple of other well-known names there. And having said that, I'd like to thank you, Nina and Jan, for the time, and all the investors for joining. And since this is likely the last pitch session for me for the year, let me wish you a good festive season and happy holidays, everybody. Take care. Ciao, ciao.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.